I'm happy to say for the first time in at least a few meetings, we're starting exactly at 2 o'clock, according to the clock on the wall in our fiscal court chambers. So we're happy to have you here today and would ask you to please stand now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you happen to bring a cell phone with you today, please turn it to off or vibrate. Madam Secretary or Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Leslie.
Here.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Sparks.
Here.
Magistrate Eldridge.
Here.
Magistrate Dye.
Here.
Magistrate Logsdon.
Here.
And Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all members of the fiscal court present today, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So move. Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Excuse me, so moved. All right, now we'll ask our clerk, Sheila Farr, Sheila Fair, sorry, I can't get that right, I don't know, to please read the minutes from January 19th.
January 19th, 2016. The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Bob Leslie, Steve Greenwell, J.D. Sparks, Kevin Eldridge, Bob Dye, and Michael Logsdon. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Likens to approve the agenda as submitted, adding Parks Committee Farmers Market request under committee recommendations, removing Tourism Commission appointment, and moving executive session after the second public comment. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Leslie and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to approve the minutes of January 5th. Motion carried unanimously. Public comment, none. Payables. Motion made by Magistrate Leslie and seconded by Magistrate Tice to approve the payables. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Eldridge voted no. County Clerk 2016 budget. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to approve the clerk's 2015 budget amendment. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to approve the clerk's 2016 budget. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to approve the clerk's 2016 annual order setting maximum amount of deputies and assistants. Motion carried unanimously. Under community business, second reading public hearing for the fiscal year 15-16 budget amendment number 1. County Treasurer Melissa Horn presented for a second reading proposed ordinance number KOC 15275 relating to the budget amendment for Oldham County budget for fiscal year 2015-16 to include unbudgeted receipts from the insurance reimbursements, county road aid, administrative offices of the courts fees, and state and federal grants, increasing the receipts of general and LGEA funds by $1,303,559 and increasing expenditure accounts by $1,303,559. And the floor was open to public comment. There being no public comment, the public hearing was closed. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to adopt ordinance number KOC 15275 relating to the budget amendment for Oldham County budget for fiscal year 2015-16 to include unbudgeted receipts from insurance reimbursements, county road aid, administrative offices of the courts fees, and state and federal grants, increasing the receipts of general and LGEA funds by $1,303,559 and increasing expenditure accounts by $1,303,559. Motion carried unanimously. First reading for the proposed ordinance KOC 16-410-76, revisions to the alcohol control ordinance. Judge Executive Vogel presented for a first reading proposed ordinance number KOC 16-410-76, repealing and replacing ordinance number KOC 14-410-460, relating to the sale of alcohol beverages in Oldham County. The second reading public hearing is scheduled for February 16th. Contracts and agreements and resolutions. Centos contract cancellation for the road department. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Leslie to authorize the Judge Executive to sign the contract cancellation letter to Centos Corporation relating to uniforms and supplies for the Road Department. Motion carried unanimously. Under committee recommendations, the Human Resource Committee, Recycling Center Manager Job Description. Motion made by Magistrate Leslie and seconded by Magistrate Likens to approve the job description for Recycling Center Manager. Motion carried unanimously. Human Resource Committee, Solid Waste and Recycling and Grant Coordinator Job Description. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Likens to approve the job description for Solid Waste and Recycling and Grant Coordinator, adding the appropriate KRS number as a reference, as submitted. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Tice voted no. Parks Committee, Courthouse Lawn Use Request. Motion made by Magistrate Leslie and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to allow LaGrange Farmers Market and Artisans use of the courthouse lawn each Saturday this summer from May through October, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m., excluding Arts on the Green and Oldham County Day. Motion carried unanimously. Personnel actions and board appointments. Solid Waste and Recycling. Motion made by Magistrate Leslie and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to approve the reassignment of Tim Tyree to Recycling Center Manager at $22.40 an hour, effective January 11th, 2016. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Tice voted no. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Leslie to hire Rebecca Zocklin as Solid Waste Recycling and Grant Coordinator at $23.58 an hour, effective January 20th, 2016. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Tice voted no. Oldham County Board of Adjustments appointment. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Sparks to reappoint Larry Otterback to the Oldham County Board of Adjustments with a term to expire January 17th, 2020. Motion carried unanimously. Sheriff Merit Board appointment. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Sparks to reappoint Bob McHugh to the Sheriff Merit Board with a term to expire February 4th, 2018. Motion carried unanimously. Second public comment, none. Other business and announcements. Magistrate Logsdon stated the traffic signal on Highway 329 at the new Walmart should be activated soon. Magistrate Eldridge announced the area is expecting a severe snowstorm and wants everyone to be careful. Magistrate Sparks stated volunteers are needed for the Republican Party Presidential Caucus scheduled for Saturday, March 5th. Contact the caucus chairman at 693-8022 to volunteer. Magistrate Greenwell congratulated Magistrates Eldridge and Tice for their recent awards for Best of from the Oldham era. Magistrate Likens asked drivers to please park in driveways and not on the streets so that snow plow drivers can plow the snow and treat the streets. Executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810C pending proposed litigation. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Likens to go into closed session pursuant to KRS 61.810C pending proposed litigation. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to come out of closed session. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Leslie to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting was adjourned at 3:55 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from January 19th. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Time now for public comment, that time during our meeting when anyone in the community who would like to address the fiscal court is able to do so. We allocate 4 minutes minimum. Sometimes a person needs a little longer, and we're willing to give it to them if the subject matter justifies it. Is there anyone here who would like to address the fiscal court? I'll ask you to state your name and address, please.
Dewey Watering, 3520 Rock Rose Lane, LaGrange. My purpose today is to discuss your proposed alcohol ordinance. It's my understanding that a lawsuit's been filed to stop it. I won't get into the merits of that one way or the other, but I think that the fiscal court should put off voting on the ordinance until that's been decided. Because I think if they were to enact the ordinance, I think they would probably get another request for an injunction, which would just lead to more cost, and I don't see where it would serve any purpose. But moreover, I am really concerned about parts of the ordinance. The main one being the fact that you can put a place that sells alcoholic beverages almost essentially next door to a school, to a daycare or a nursery. And every time I pass the nursery down there on Commerce Parkway, I think of this. If a nursery or school or something has a large lawn to the one side of their building, which that does down there, which children go out and play in, and you can practically put a bar right next door to that. I think a lot of things like drugs, if you're caught using drugs or selling drugs within 1,000 feet of a school, that really enhances the penalty. And I don't know why in the world we would want to allow bars within 100 feet of a school or a nursery or a church. And I'm very surprised that the churches and the schools, the Oldham County school system hasn't been outraged over this. Perhaps they don't know about it. But you could easily have a bar right across the street from the high school down there. It would not be hard at all to have a bar across there. And what's even worse is that can be even waived. Therefore, I mean, I would assume that if it can be waived, you could have a bar within 5 feet. You might say, well, that wouldn't happen, but I mean, it could be. That's the provisions in the ordinance as it stands now. Other questions I have, and I by no means know the answer, is I would assume that there will be a tax put on these alcoholic beverages. Where is that tax going to go? One place in here, I think, for the fees for the licenses is specified to go to the police department to help enhance the enforcement of this bill. Does the police department also include the county sheriff's department or just the county police department? I don't know the answer, but the other thing when it comes to monies, let's assume just for the sake of discussion that you have $1 million budget for your police department. And you want to direct all this money has to go into the police department. Let's say you take in $300,000 in taxes. Do you put the $300,000 in the police budget in addition to the $1 million you've already got in there, or do you take $300,000 out and put $300,000 from the taxes in there, effectively not increasing your police budget a bit, but increasing your general fund by $300,000? I don't know what, I don't think that's answered in here. But mostly right now I'm concerned about the placement of the bars. I won't be here the day that you have the second reading, which again, I wish you would postpone until the court decision has been made. So I thought I would come today and say my piece. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. At the risk of saying something wrong, I'll try to address a couple of the things that you brought up. I believe that our committee that drafted that ordinance was under the impression that we could not put a restriction like 1,000 feet or half a mile or anything like that in relation to sale in the distance from the school. We looked at that, and we would certainly like to, but we were advised by ABC that we couldn't implement that type of restriction in the ordinance. I'm thinking, for example, of what comes to mind immediately is St. Francis High School in downtown Louisville, I believe, well within close distance of places that sell alcohol. Now, that it was just an idea that came to mind. I can't say that it would hold up if you went down and looked at it, but that's what we were advised by ABC. Another issue that you brought up there, the additional revenue that comes from a license fee or tax on the sale of the beverages does go to support all law enforcement in the county. That would include the sheriff and also Pee Wee Valley Police. We can help all of our police departments with that. But it's not to replace existing services in the community. It's to help add additional control over the sale and distribution of the product. So that line does get fuzzy, I'll have to say. A patrol car is a patrol car. It can function under more than one circumstance, obviously. But that's the general intent of the thing. So we will be helping all law enforcement. We'll also be using some of the money to promote the safe use of the product, and also to address substance abuse in our community, working with the health department and others that are involved in trying to curb substance abuse, that alcohol is part of a continuum of things that young people can get in trouble with, and we don't want that. So that's a general thing. Whether or not the second reading can be put off without having to start all over again, ordinances call for second reading within 30 days of the first reading, and we published the fact that there will be publishing, and will come out in the paper, there'll be a second reading. The hearing, the next hearing on the alcohol ordinance, if there is another hearing, is scheduled for the 26th of February. So, and again, there's a possibility that may not take place because of arguments that the lawyers are making before the court. So, sure, come back.
The second reading is taking place on the 16th, is that correct?
Yes.
But then you're going to have a hearing on a public hearing on it on the 26th?
No, the court hearing. There was a
Oh,
court
okay,
hearing
okay,
scheduled for the
okay.
28th of January. That was postponed. I don't know exactly how, but the judge requested certain documents be submitted and things, and then set another hearing for the 26th of
Okay,
February.
I was confused when you said that. But anyway, one other quick question. If you could limit it to 100 feet, why can't you limit it to 1,000? That's all. That would be my question to the ABC.
Right. I understand what you're saying there. We tried to make something that wouldn't be challenged, I guess. And right now, there are, if you go down to Crestwood, alcohol, sold at certain restaurants right across the street from South Oldham High School. Our schools are located, some of them, in commercial districts, so it's tricky on how to approach that.
It is, but which takes precedence? Okay. I'll stop.
Right, there isn't a beauty.
I didn't mean to come up here to get into it.
And I'm not trying to defend it.
I know.
I appreciate your point.
Okay.
Measure Sparks?
Judge, they tried to do the same thing with your Second Amendment rights too, is everybody says, oh, let's make this big buffer around schools, churches, daycares, et cetera. Well, you take most cities, if you lay down a map and you draw a circle around all those facilities, there's nowhere to put anything, So that's why you can't come up with these arbitrary 1,000 feet, whatever kind of things.
Well, regardless of what happens here, we're going to emphasize public safety and responsibility. So, Magistrate Likens?
Yeah, Judge, I'd like to echo most of the things you said were the way I saw them in the committee also, but I think it's a state function the state comes in and decides the appropriateness of a location, and the county doesn't have anything to do with that part of a license.
Right. Our participation here will be, let's say, more negative than positive, in the sense that the applicants will come to the fiscal court for an application. We have the right to sign off and approve it, but then it goes to Frankfurt for the final authority. Frankfurt will actually inspect the location as well, as the way we understand it, and decide whether or not it's appropriate for the business. There is within the law shadows, gray areas where decisions are made, and hopefully we'll make those decisions and support ones that they make in the right way. So, but I appreciate what you're saying. Is there I know there were some others that were about to get up, so would the next person like to address fiscal court? Anybody?
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Eldridge at 1203 Moody Lane, but I'm here on behalf of LaGrange Crossroads, and I've given you a packet each. It's our annual report that we presented, and I have not been here since our name change. You knew us as Discover Downtown LaGrange, so we are LaGrange Crossroads now, just to bring us in line with our legal name. And I wanted to thank you for your support with the farmers market and everything else that we do in LaGrange, and for being part of LaGrange. And really just wanted to visit, and I have not been here since I joined as the director. Gave you my card so that you can call me if you have any questions. And then also to invite you to our chocolate crawl, which is on the 13th, which we have 22 locations, so you'll have chocolate to your heart's content, and then be able to have dinner at a restaurant close by, and then you'll be heroes.
And that's the 13th of February here. It's coming
Correct.
up in just a few days, really.
Yes.
How's that, exactly how will that work?
You'll check in at our welcome center, you'll get an armband, and then you'll go around to each location and be able to get some chocolate. And then at the end of the day, you bring a ticket back for any purchases you've had, and you get to go in the drawing for a door prize, and you get to vote for who you liked as your favorite chocolate.
Great, so you're going to have different types of chocolate and homemade, or how is it going to?
A little of both.
A little both?
We have homemade, we have those that have actually purchased, or we have some that have been donated, that have been handmade, so you'll have a variety.
Well, it sounds like a great idea.
And you have to-go bags too, so you don't have to eat it all at the same
right,
time.
yeah.
We don't want to have to go out to the hospital with it.
Yeah. Right, that's right. Well, let's pray for a good day on Sunday, and I don't know what the forecast is, but I hope it's really nice.
It'll be wonderful in LaGrange no matter what, right?
Yes, that's right. And Karen has also put together a nice annual report that she's given each of us here to look at. I don't mean to, catch you on a surprise here, but would you like to, talk about some of the highlights of the year or whatever?
Highlights of our year, we have, the train observation tower was our crown jewel to be able to have that completed. That was a project between the city and between LaGrange Crossroads, and we appreciate Judge being there to help us unveil that and open that. We also had a wonderful year. We had the best year ever with our farmers market. So we, again, thank you for the support on being able to have that. We raised more money with our blue hydrangea and our ghost tours this year, so we will have facade grants available for those within our district that would like to rehab the fronts of their buildings. We have the application. If you go to lagrangecrossroads.org, you'll be able to see that application. And we also would invite anybody that would like to get involved to be able to give me a call or to go on the website. My number is 502-269-0126, or again on the website, or you can reach me at director@lagrangecrossroads.org.
Well, this is really a nice report you put together, and I do believe it's really the first time that we've had a report like this come to us from downtown LaGrange, or LaGrange Crossroads now. And I assume the name has to do with the fact that it's an historical name, really. This was called the Crossroads here at one time.
Crossroads was the original name of LaGrange, so yes. Plus, we're always at a crossroads. We always have some place to go, correct?
Right, we do. Anybody like Magistrate Sparks?
Yeah, your flyer says that only 500 tickets will be available. Do you have plenty of tickets left?
We do have tickets left now, yes.
Okay.
And we will have tickets available that day unless we sell out, but yes, we'll probably have tickets that day.
Okay.
And anyone else like to? I know it wasn't part of LaGrange Crossroads, but I know we enjoyed having movie company in downtown LaGrange this weekend. John Voight and James Caan and the whole big crew were at the courthouse for the entire weekend. And,
Yes.
some of last week, so that was nice to have that and nice to be on their radar.
It is wonderful, and we'll be talking with another company possibly, so hopefully we'll get to have another
Tremendous.
film in. We're taking photographs for them now.
And last Sunday, this week, 2 days ago, The Ultimate Legacy, another Hallmark movie made in Oldham County last fall, played on national television. And and there's also been an NBC sports crew here working on a cable sports show that involves tractor pulling. And they've been in Oldham County last week and doing interviews and shooting some video here as well.
We'll actually have 13 episodes with the reality TV show, and they will show on Velocity starting in October.
Well, that's great. So, well, we're happy about all the things that are happening. And we did, I'd say, Magistrate Tice here happened to come across Governor Bevan on the street in LaGrange on Saturday, and had their picture taken. And I had a chance to talk with him as well. It was nice to have him here. And so he came because of the movie crew being here, so.
Me and Mr. Voigt are good friends, so that doesn't hurt at all.
Right. Well, thank you, Karen. I appreciate
very much.
appreciate your presentation, and you're always welcome. Come back anytime.
Thank you very much.
All right, is there anyone else who would like to address the fiscal court today? All right, seeing no one, I'll close the public comment and go on to the first item on our agenda, and that is the bills that have accumulated over the last couple of weeks here. And our bill here includes two new police interceptors for our police department. And I want to acknowledge we did receive a gift of roughly $28,000 from the Rawlings Foundation to pay for one of our new cruisers. So I would like to acknowledge and thank them for their generosity.
Make a motion to approve the bills.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Now, our next item here is the first reading of a budget amendment, and the second reading will be on March 1st. I'd like to ask our Finance Committee Chairman, Wayne Tice, would you like to discuss this?
Well, it's fairly simple,
Mic on?
and, yeah, it was. I was just reaching down to pull that out. It's a budget amendment, and Melissa usually does that for us, but if you'll come forward, I'll try to stumble through it on your way, and then you can pick me up or whatever needs to be. In the revenue side, we added money, additional revenue from the federal prisoners of $40,000, and also from state prisoners from about $40,700. On the expense side, our salaries on the jail had gone up to offset that at $80,700. So it's neutral, and we need to pass that, so we'll have that amended.
All right. Are there any questions? We won't be taking a vote on this today, but certainly can answer questions. Or
I just
ask
had a
questions.
question for the jailer, if possible.
I don't see him here.
He's right there.
Or is he, Mike? Okay. All right.
So we have an increase.
You come forward, Mike, and we won't.
My question is, we have an increase in federal revenues from federal and state prisoners, and is that what caused the increase in salaries? I mean, do we have to work more man-hours to manage those people, or?
I think you probably need to
Let me
redirect
jump in there with
that
him.
question.
Part of that was, yes, they did work more overtime, so there was an increase in the cost. Also, we moved not Tim Tyree, but Jimmy Walker from the recycle back to the jail. So therefore, his salary was put into that at not a complete year, but about 10 out of 12 months. So that was a large part of that increase. But we did have some other overtime. But did that answer your question?
Yeah, but I'm wondering why did you need to move him back to the jail? And, I mean, are you working, you need somebody more hours in the jail?
Well, Jay, what happened was, and you have to go back a little bit of history, Jimmy was working at the recycling center. I'm sure you're aware that he was removed from the recycling and came back in as an employee at the Oldham County Jail. What Magistrate Tice is referring to was just transferring his salary his salary and all of his benefits remained in the recycling budget, even though he came back in working back inside the jail in September. So this amendment basically is moving those numbers from one department to the other.
Okay, that doesn't really get what I'm looking for. So when we're talking about the new jail, we're talking about, we have some fixed costs. The number of officers doesn't change when we add a few more prisoners, right? So we can increase our revenue without increasing our cost. I'm asking, are we needing to increase our costs in the jail by adding these federal and state prisoners that this revenue is coming from? Or, I mean, because that goes counter to what you've taught us, is the
No, some of these prisoners are being taken, number one, let's get back to Jimmy Walker for just a second. There was the desire within the fiscal court not to pay for hazardous duty retirement at the recycling center because of Deputy Walker managing the inmates. So
Gotcha. Okay.
that was an issue that had some of our, fiscal court had. The other thing is that the jail has been transporting a number of prisoners related to customs and immigration. They have to get in the car and take them places, pick them
So
up,
the
move 'em around,
additional
so-
cost is for transport,
So some
more
of it
than
is,
just.
right. There's additional costs that have been picked up because of those two things.
That's
So-
what I was looking for.
So
Thank you,
Mr.
Judge.
Walker is the bulk of this when you add his overtime, his what do you call, health insurance, benefits, salary plus benefits. He's the bulk, and some of it is for this transport,
Perfect. That's
which
what I
has
was
been
looking
working
for.
out great, and we really appreciate the good relationship that has been established with these federal agencies.
Yeah. Thank you, Judge. Thanks, Mike.
Measure die.
One additional comment along that for Magistrate Sparks is basically Officer Walker, it was more of, it's just an accounting action, moving out of one budget line department to another. But the salaries is some of this money is Jailer Simpson, there was some promotions here too. People were changed jobs and got paid a higher rate. It's a small percentage of it, but I do want to bring that out, that it wasn't those, there was more than one item, it was those two items and the promotions.
So I know, to ask on it, I know we have salary increases come in front of us all the time. So do we just do that for the county's employees, but not the individual employees for like the jailer or the sheriff? or other constitutional
The
officers?
constitutional officers are able to set the salaries within their respective departments. Or it's not a department within their respective agency or jurisdiction.
Thank you.
Right. And so all of this, is a moving circumstance. There are some moving parts to all this just about all the time. So we do, what the most important thing here I want to reflect is the fact that our federal contracts are generating more revenue. And actually, we're doing pretty well on them. So we're quite happy with it, really. So we hope it continues to expand. Okay, did you have anything else to add there? So what we'll do is push this forward. This is just a first reading. We'll push it forward. The budget amendment, we haven't done many budget amendments in the past. We've tried to limit them. But, the state doesn't really expect you to send them in once a year. They expect you to take care of adjustments throughout the year as moving parts require them. So, you okay on that now? Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good, thank you. All right, let's go on to our next item and ask our dispatch director, Kevin Nuss, to present that.
Good afternoon. You have before you a resolution continuing the National Incident Management System, which is commonly referred to as NIMS. The court, back in 2007, issued a resolution implementing the NIMS system, and during my update to the Emergency Operations Plan this year, Kentucky Emergency Management rejected my plan because we had not updated the resolution. I think there's some debate as to whether a resolution needs to be updated if it doesn't have an ending date on it, but we decided the simplest way was to just go ahead and do a new resolution continuing the NIMS program, which we have done throughout the last several years. So I would ask that you allow the judge to sign this resolution.
Right. NIMS is an acronym for National Incident Management System. And why don't you, for the sake of the people in the room here and those at home, explain a little further how that system works.
Okay, the National Incident Management System really became to effect after 9/11. All the agencies that responded to New York came from their various departments, and they each had their own operating guidelines. What NIMS does is it brings in one set of guidelines for anywhere in the United States. So if you're an officer or first responder from California, but you're going to Kentucky, you handle the situation the same way as you would in California. So it's just a uniform set of guidelines that everything is handled under. It also has the incident command system where you have a incident commander, and then you have several layers below that are key decision makers. It's just in a nutshell, it's a uniform way to handle large-scale disasters or small everyday incidents just within the county itself. So they took out a lot of the 10 codes that the police normally use in fire and EMS, and they recommend that you use just plain language on the radio system. So all those things that are incorporated under the incident management system, we incorporated into our emergency operations plan back in 2007. All these years of doing annual updates, they've never questioned the resolution until this year. They questioned that it wasn't signed by the sitting fiscal court. So they asked me to renew it, so that's what I'm here to do.
All right. Is there a motion that I be allowed to sign this continuing relationship with the National Incident Management System?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about this? Magistrate Sparks.
Yeah, so that manual we approved a couple weeks ago, you're going to be editing that in any way, or is it already ready to go to them as is? I'm sorry. Like, you mentioned that it
10
has
codes.
like the 10 codes in it. Are you going to edit those out before you
Well,
send?
actually, the 10 codes that are in the manual are still accepted. You can still use 10 codes. It's just if Oldham County Police are working with just Oldham County Police, they can still use 10 codes. It's when you bring inter-agency can still use 10 codes. Intra-agencies can still use 10 codes. When you bring other agencies in, you use plain language. The 10 codes that are listed in the manual are still okay, and some of those are officer safety 10 codes, which we're not going to change because they have to give us back that exact verbiage. But the 10 codes that are in that manual are NIMS compliant 10 codes.
Yeah, I know I probably know the answer to this, but this, being part of this NIMS system, it doesn't relegate any of our local authority to a national authority, does it?
No, absolutely not. No, FEMA is always because they are the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and they have basically the deep pockets. If we have a disaster and the judge, like a snowstorm or ice storm, then the judge declares a state of emergency in the county, and then the governor declares a state of emergency in the Commonwealth, then that would allow FEMA to come in and help with financial assistance and things like that, but we don't advocate anything by being compliant. In fact, you have to be compliant with NIMS in order to receive that federal aid. If you're not compliant with NIMS, then you're not eligible for that federal aid.
Thank you.
Magistrate Leslie.
Kevin, are we going to have to renew this every year?
No, actually, I talked to Mr. Carter about it, and I think Mr. Carter's opinion is that the resolution continues. State Emergency Management wanted to see a new one, so Mr. Carter, if I'm not speaking incorrectly, just said let's just do a new resolution.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? So this is resolution number 01020216, a resolution continuing the National Incident Management System, our relationship with it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to get to animal control and ask our Animal Control Director, Barbara Rosamond, to talk about the spay-neuter agreement.
Good afternoon. I am here to ask for Judge Vogel's signature in accepting a grant in the amount of $660 from the State Department of Agriculture. This money would be used for the spaying and neutering of shelter animals.
Is there a motion to allow me to sign this grant?
So moved.
Discussion? All right, Barbara, this is for the spay-neuter program at the animal shelter.
Yes, at the county animal shelter.
All right, we also have the another program underway in the county, correct?
Yes, the Humane Society also has spay-neuter clinics.
So is it that we just both agencies just work at it, or do you work together, or?
We work together.
All right,
Yes, that, we don't have a vet on staff, obviously, and we take shelter animals to the Humane Society's clinic, so this assists the county in paying for that service.
Oh, sorry, so we pay them. How much do
Yes.
we pay them?
Well, it depends on the size of the animal and the gender of the animal. Like a tomcat would only be $35, whereas a female cat's about $65, because that's a more invasive surgery. And then based on the size of the animal, like a large female dog could go as high as $100.
So this money it doesn't sound like it's enough to cover what the
We'll
cost of the
do
program.
about a dozen animals.
Dozen animals a
Yes.
year. All right.
It's free money, so
Yeah, right.
we're
Well,
happy to get it.
we'll, take whatever we can get as far as
And
grants
some
to
years we
assist
do
it.
get more. And I actually called and asked why we were only getting 660 this year, because we have gotten more in the past. And they said that counties who had never applied before applied for the first time, so they got the more generous grants this time.
I see.
But I'll continue to apply.
Okay, sure.
Judge? I have a
Commissioner
question.
Leslie?
Yes, Barbara, you said this is for shelter animals?
It can be used for low-income people in the community who cannot afford to have their pets spayed and neutered.
That's what I
But
was
they're
wondering.
already working with the Humane Society. You can also use it on what are now called community-owned cats, once known as stray cats. So you can use it in other areas, but we would probably plan to use this on shelter animals.
Okay, thank you.
All right, is there anyone else who'd like to discuss this? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I understand now you're going to be, you and your staff attending a animal control
We are.
program.
Yes, next
soon?
month. Yes,
Month, or-
next
okay,
month.
good.
It's in Louisville this year. We always attend, no matter where it is in the state, but this will be the first time that all of us will have the opportunity to attend.
All right, what type, it looked, I remember looking through the program, it looked like a good,
It is.
lot of
It's-
good
It's very
information.
good. It's the Kentucky Animal Control Officers Association, and then that is combined with animal shelter workers. Not all animal shelter workers are necessarily a sworn officer. They are at Oldham County, but that's not so in other counties. So there's usually two educational tracks, for people that are more concerned with like disease management as opposed to law enforcement. But the whole thing looked really good. I'm looking forward to taking this.
good. I'm glad your staff is going. We want,
yes, yes.
we want our staff to be as professional as possible.
Yes.
Thank you. Something I'd like to sort of bring again to the fiscal court's attention in relation to animal control is that we were able to negotiate with the state of Kentucky and now we are the owners of the property that is at the entrance to the animal control up on Highway 393, the greenhouse and garage and so forth. And like you to just, if you can think of appropriate idea, I know Barbara would like to have an animal adoption center there. And we may want to take that building down. It's not in good shape. It's pretty dilapidated, actually. And it could be rehabbed, but it might be easier to clear it and start over again. The garage is not in bad shape there and would certainly be good. So please keep that in mind in relation to ideas that we could use that for as an adoption center. It's a nice little piece of property that
It is.
could possibly serve some other function as well, or an additional function.
Right.
So, okay. Well, thank you, Barbara.
Judge, we'll take that up under the Building and Maintenance Committee.
Great, thank you. All right, the next item here is under committee reports and recommendations from the Road Committee. Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. We have a bond reduction to discuss today, and County Engineer Beth Stuber is going to walk us through it.
This is just reduction on Pond Creek subdivision. They went to record plat before they had much of anything built as far as public improvements. Now they've got most of it built except for the final coat of asphalt. Therefore, they're asking for a reduction of their bond. The bond was set by the cost of the improvements multiplied by 1.5. So we are taking it from $40,000 to 18,000.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the county engineer's recommendation to reduce the bond for Pond Creek subdivision, Section 2B, from $40,000 to $18,000.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Judge, while Beth's up here, can I ask her a question?
All right, Beth?
Beth, could you do me the favor of talking about the Ash Avenue thing you showed me earlier? We're, through Beth's diligent work and everybody down in the office, we're slowly getting some movement on our Ash Avenue project. I hope she could just illuminate on the most recent effort.
This is a section out of the construction plans, which is overlaid onto an aerial, so it's the most straightforward to understand. This is our Ash Avenue Drainage Improvement Project in the Ashbrook area.
We got the
You get
funding
your
for
bearings,
this.
yeah. Oh, yes.
Right.
Right. The funding is in place. They're starting utility and right-of-way work today. This is Ashbrook, Ash Avenue, Village Green's up in this area. There is an existing double-barrel.
Lee Valley would be to the left of on the left of the screen as we look at it, correct?
Yes. Okay. So you've got a double-barreled culvert there currently that is sloped backwards. So we're going to replace that with an open box culvert, which will handle a lot more flow and be tilted the right direction. You'll have a channel that they're building through here, and fluming it in. Then it's going to go underground across these yards. Due to the elevations, we're going to come back out of the ground, replace the culvert under Ashbrook, and then it goes down into a ravine. But that's the basics.
So that's going to help us reduce the water rescues that are required in that area.
Yeah, down in this area.
And the damage to private properties from water, so I really appreciate the effort. What is it? Did you figure out our timeline yet?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Okay.
But like I said, they're immediately starting on the right of way. And with little utility, we have just a few utilities in conflict in this area, so get that worked out.
This is a state project with state funding.
Correct.
And we want to point that out, even though it's called Ash Avenue. It actually has a number, and numbered roads are state highways. We understand the confusion in the community, and people look to the county to solve these problems, but some of them aren't ours to solve. Not that we are trying to shun the responsibility, it's just another agency's responsibility to take care of it. So we have promoted this very hard over the last 4 to 5 years, getting something done, 10 years with Ash Avenue, because it's a dreadful situation after a heavy rain for the people who live along that street. So I hope this will step forward and be a huge solution. When do we have any idea when it might be completed?
No, sir, I'm hoping for as early as fall, but it just really depends on utility. It's
Okay.
difficult. That's the most difficult and unknown at this point.
And it's not just the people that live right there, those 4 or 5 houses. That road really is a throwaway to all of the south part of the county. So, there's hundreds and hundreds of people that are affected by that.
Unfortunately, it won't affect the flooding at the county line further on down, but it should help with the overtopping of the road into this area.
Measures, die.
Out of curiosity, Beth, when you start down at the existing culvert, you come down here and then you daylight out. Then you go-
Daylight here?
Well, not there, keep going down further. You daylight out there, then you're going back under again.
Under the roadway, yes.
What kind of remediation efforts are they going to put between those two head walls to keep from, scrub trees and stuff like that getting in there? Is that going to be a concrete ditch or be rip-wrapped or?
It'll be rip-wrapped. It won't be concrete. It'll be rebuilt and rip-wrapped.
What is the reason for not, is that going to act also as some sort of a retention area if it gets overwhelmed?
No, we simply couldn't get the grades to work out where we could continue the box, below grade box.
Usually when you see those, there's a lot of volunteers, scrub trees show up, and then nobody goes in there, cuts it out, then that slows up your water flow, then you got water problem on the other end.
It's Guy's front yard, and it takes up most of his front yard, and there's no trees or anything in there.
Not yet,
And washing down.
yeah,
He's talking about washing down.
yeah. I see why you can't do it. If you can't get the elevations, I understand why. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Beth. Appreciate knowing that. Now we'll go on to these board appointments here. First of all, I'd like to actually have two appointments today. I'd like to request your permission. One of them, they're both with the Oldham County Tourism Commission. I'd like to appoint George Saliba to a term that would expire on February 2nd of 2019. George Saliba, his biography is in here, a couple page down. He's the owner of McDonald's in LaGrange. George also is the owner of the McDonald's at Pendleton and the one up at Eminence, and he's just actually built another one on the end of the bridge over in Indiana on the East End Bridge. George is a real great guy, energetic person. He came here to the United States from Lebanon basically 20 years ago, could not speak any English. He got into the McDonald's system and has built himself up to be an owner over 20 years of 4 stores. I think he's a great person to add to our Tourism Commission, and I know he's very dedicated to making that commission as effective and meaningful as possible in Oldham County. Motion to accept this now recommendation.
So, second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. The next person I'd like to recommend is also in the food service industry, and everybody here probably knows her. Donna Sabo has been on the Tourism Commission. I'd like to ask for her to be reappointed. She's Director of Marketing for Hometown Pizza. She's been with Hometown Pizza for 26 years and has lived in Oldham County since 1979. We all know Donna. We've all called on her at different times to help out with pizzas and salads and different things for meetings, and many times they have been donated. I mentioned that the NBC crew was in town last week doing our reality show, first episode of a reality show, and she provided them with about 15 free pizzas from Hometown Pizza, so, and salads too, and very generous in helping try to promote the community. So.
I'd like to make that motion, Judge. Second.
Moved and seconded, we accept Donna Sabo here to continue on the Tourism Commission. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And I thank both Donna and George for their willingness to serve, as well as all the people in our community. We have somewhere around 28 different boards that the Fiscal Court appoints members to. It's hard to imagine that there are that many boards and commissions out working in this community, but there are. And I'm very thankful for all of the people who agree to share their time and expertise with us in the various functions that help our community move forward. We're at our second public comment now. If anybody'd like to speak to the Fiscal Court again, you're certainly invited to do so. Seeing no one, I'll close the public comment, and we're going to wind up our meeting here in just a few minutes. I'll ask our magistrates if they have any questions, and I'll start with Magistrate Logsdon. Magistrate Dye.
I'd like to thank the road department for the work that they did during the what did you call that last time? Snowmageddon that didn't occur. That's it. Thank you, Judge.
Magistrate Eldridge.
I just want to bring the court up to date. I'm sure you saw in today's payables that there was an expense there to the county attorney's department. We had brought up red flag homes, 2 of them, one in Park Lake and one on Floydsburg. The one in Park Lake has been settled out of court and will be returning to a home rather than just a house. The payment that you saw in the payables will go toward going ahead and doing the court order on Floydsburg. Thank you.
Right, that's a foreclosure order that we've been worried, let's say, concerned and about that circumstance. The daycare on Floydsburg Road looks like heck, and it needs to be cleaned up. And I appreciate Magistrate Eldridge for getting an idea together and to try to foreclose on these and get us off dead center. We haven't had the ability to crack down, let's say, on property that looks like we should be able to do something with. But now we have a tool and they're moving forward. So, thank you. Magistrate Sparks.
Just stay tuned for the presidential caucus on March 5th.
That's our Oldham County Republican caucus, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Magistrate Greenwell.
Nothing, Judge.
Magistrate Leslie.
Yes, sir. I received a request from Ryan Beebe at LaGrange Baptist Church. He's done this for several years, to use the courthouse lawn on June 15th from 6 to 8 p.m. with a rain date on June 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. They'll have 3 bouncy houses, approximately 10 games, free food for the family, and we have approved this every time it's come up. And I'm asking the court to approve the use of LaGrange Baptist Church for their event.
All right, does there anyone second that motion? Second. All right, discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
I will contact Ryan Beebe.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's all.
Okay. Magistrate Tice.
The only thing I've got is I'd also like to thank Kevin for his work he's done on the Red Flags Home. So thank you very much, and it's for the whole community. Super.
Right. Magistrate Likens.
Nothing, Judge.
Mr. Carter.
Nothing, Judge.
Okay. Guess it's back to me here. I want to congratulate one of our district judges, the Honorable Tim Feely, who has been appointed as a deputy commissioner in the Department for Human Services in Frankfort. Governor Bevin personally selected him to work with the Family Services section of the Department for Human Services, and we congratulate Judge Feely and wish him well in Frankfort, and thank him for his many years of service here in LaGrange.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
will he be retiring as judge?
Yes, right, yes. He'll be retiring as judge. The process is that there is a judicial selection committee that will receive nominations and applications for for Governor Bevin to consider a person to reappoint in Judge Feely's place, or to appoint, not reappoint. So that'll be coming up here. I don't know exactly what the time schedule is on that, but I assume it's going to be fairly soon because there are cases pending that need to be moved forward.
Judge, I think they nominate a couple of judges, and then the next general election, there'll be another election for Tim's job. So the people that the judge puts on there now will not be, they'll have another election in November for the judge.
Yeah, that's generally how that works. Right. The governor appoints a person, he holds the position until the next general election comes up. I want to make a comment here about, we're working on Highway 393. There are 2 major road projects going on right now in Oldham County. One is Highway 393 is from the I-71 up a half mile up toward Buckner is being widened. It has that war zone look to it. The trees have been cleared out for a good, I don't know, a couple hundred feet, certainly to the east, maybe more. There's some clearing going on in the west. There's burning going on there. The burning is creating smoke. The smoke is certainly a nuisance and a bother. I've had a couple of calls. People were unhappy about that. We do not control that. that is a state project. They're within the time frame that the state allows burning to take place. Whether or not we would like to work with the company that's doing the burning, we encourage them to do everything they can to limit the amount of smoke coming out of that particular 393 project, plus another project which is extending from Blakemore Lane over to about the new bridge in Oldham Reserve. There's a 4-lane road going in there. There's a lot of clearing that's being done. I understand Magistrate Logson told me there were 2 or 3 pretty good fires going there last night. They're trying to clear this land. So I've spoken today to the District 5 manager of these projects and encouraged him, which he said he would, talk to the contracting company to do whatever they can to possibly keep the smoke down so it doesn't become, significant irritant for a lot of people. Progress always comes with a price, and things sometimes get worse before they get better. But I believe the 393 clearing is on the downside of the equation there, so that should end hopefully soon. And when we get our project done, it's going to be great. I think we're going to have, people are going to be really happy to have that widened, and we'll be happy to have a new Kroger come into that location. Don't forget the chocolate crawl that Karen Eldridge talked about. That should be great. We want to support downtown LaGrange and what's happening there in that business district. We also support Crestwood, Pee Wee Valley, and Prospect in activities in those business districts as well. So with that said, I think we have just hit the 61-minute mark, and is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.